Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, June the 8th, 2021. I hope you're all COVID free. I hope your family is healthy. I hope that all your needs, your food, your shelter, and your clothing, and your health, I hope all your needs are being met and blessed today. Blessings on those that work in the healthcare field, saving lives, even at the expense of their own. And those that pick up garbage for us to keep our places clean. And those that make deliveries for us so that when we walk in the supermarket, there's food there. Also, double blessings on those that are trying to deliver boys and girls, men and women, children and babies from the clutches of perverts and sex slave and human trafficking going on a worldwide basis in every country of the earth. Blessings on those trying to help these unfortunate ones, and curses on those that support this dirty industry. Finally, blessing on those helping the homeless. 500,000 men, women, children, and families that are living on the street today in the United States of America. And multiple millions around the earth who don't have Social Security, unemployment, who don't have disability benefits, who are trying to survive day to day with nothing and have no roof over their head. Blessings on those trying to help those less fortunate. And double blessings on the less fortunate, for theirs is the kingdom. Okay, we're in the off season. I'm having my morning coffee this morning, right? And I'm happy. I'm happy for a couple of reasons. On a personal note, the North Carolina move is off. You say, well, why are you happy about that? Well, as it turns out, I'm able to get a home here in the greater Washington, D.C. area at a discount. And if you know the Washington, D.C. area, you know that's a major thing. It's one of the hottest real estate markets on earth. And we have been blessed to be able to get something at a bit of a discount here. So we'll be able to stay right where we are, which is good. I'm also very happy because my man Tom Thibodeau is the coach of the year. My man Tom Thibodeau is the NBA coach of the year. All y'all out here thinking you know more than him and you know how he can't coach and he gets out-coached. Y'all need to stop. You know, New York is a mess, man. You got the coach of the year on your sidelines. Think about that. Think about that. You got the coach of the year on your sidelines. In the beginning of the season, please go back and look at the videos. Everybody's talking about the New York Knicks need talent. We need a talent upgrade. They don't have enough talent. I'm not even going to name the fools on ESPN, the fools on the Ringer, the fools all over the NBA talking about the Knicks need talent. And you know what we said, right? You remember what we were saying, Knicks Nation. We did get the talent upgrade. His name is Tom Thibodeau. We did get the talent upgrade. It was Mike Woodson. It was Kenny Payne. It was Johnny Bryant. It was Leon Rose, who was hired by our owner, James Dolan. We did get the talent upgrade. And we went from 20 wins. And we went from 20 wins to 41 wins. A 21 win upgrade. We doubled our win total in one season. Became the number one defense in the NBA. Julius Randle became the most improved player in the NBA. And an all-star and probably all NBA. Talk to me now. Some of y'all haters. I know y'all, some of y'all, unless you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you're not happy. You're happy in misery. So you got to be negative all the time. I get that. I think it's a sad situation for y'all, but I understand it. If you got 20 million fans like the New York Knicks do, you're going to have some knuckleheads. It's going to happen. But we got the coach of the year, y'all. Tom Thibodeau is the coach of the year. Okay? The culture has changed. It has changed from top to bottom. The culture has changed under Mr. Leon Rose. Papa Leon got it under control, y'all. And even Scott Perry, who I don't really think is the best GM in the world, believe me, I'd rather have that cat out there in Oklahoma City, or the dude in Indiana, or the dude in San Antonio. Can't have the dude in Miami. He was already here. But I'd rather have a couple of one of those cats, than this guy. But with the team we got around him, he can't mess up but so much. So we got to say, we did all right. We did all right, y'all. We on the right track. Right now, these are good times for the New York Knicks. You need to recognize, because you know what? As New York Knicks fan from long time, I've seen good times before. They've been far and few between. Okay? The best times is when the Knicks was winning championships. I was there at that time. And it was really good in New York because the Knicks was winning championships, the Mets was winning championships, and the Jets won the Super Bowl all in that same period of time. It was really hot to be in New York at that time. And I was a little kid, but I was as proud as anything, And then, we came back in the 90s and we was on the verge and just couldn't get through. And we had a coach of the year then too, Pat Riley. And if you ask me, the Knicks management at the time chased homie out of town. That's why he went to Miami. He didn't need to put up with this. Now, we got a management that got a common sense. We've had that before now. We had it with Donnie Walsh. He was Johnny Walsh is one of them dudes. And our owner chased him out. But now the owner has learned his lesson. This is the lesson learning time, y'all. The owner learned his lesson. He learned, and he has backed up. You ain't seen him in the paper saying nothing stupid, doing nothing stupid. He backed up. Give him the props. He hired Leon Rose. Smart move. Leon proceeded to put the team together on the front office. Hired Tom Thibodeau. Proceeded to put some coaches around Tom to help him. And now, in 1 year's time, we took 3-year steps. Yeah. This is supposed to be a rebuild in the first year. We already went 3 steps ahead. Which brings me to the point of today's video. Even though I did want to praise and congratulate Coach Thibodeau on a tremendous job that he did in New York this year. And I expect that to continue. No, today's video is about point guards. Yeah, about point guards. That's today's video. What am I talking about, point guards? Well, if you're following the Knicks, ever since Charlie Ward, we have now had a point guard re-sign after getting drafted by the New York Knicks. We've had multiple point guards, but we've never gotten the right one. Like we had Stephon Marbury at one point. Now, Stephon Marbury is a tremendous talent. He was a tremendous talent. There's no question. You can't average 20 points and 10 assists and not be in the NBA. Come on now. The boy, couple-time All-Star. He was one of the greatest players to ever come out of New York City. One of them. Not the greatest, but one of them, for sure. And so, we had him. But Stephon wasn't a real team player. I have to say. He wasn't a team player. He whined a little too much. Okay? So he wasn't the perfect dude, and he ended up talking his way out of New York. Got his money and left, right? Then we had the coach for the perfect point guard, and Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni is the point guard coach. Like, they used to say that there was a guy named Crimmins. He was a coach at Georgia Tech, and they used to call that point guard you. I don't know if any of y'all remember that, but they used to bring in all the, dynamic point guards to run that team in Georgia Tech in college. You had Marbury, you had Kenny A, you had Mark Price. They just had, it was like point guard university. Well, Mike D'Antoni was the point guard university on the NBA. He Steve Nash, right? James Harden, right? And even Jeremy Lin. I mean, just to show you how his system works, Jeremy Lin was never a star, not even close, but he looked like a star in D'Antoni's system. Okay. You had Felton. Felton was an excellent All-American college player, McDonald's All-American high school player. And it just didn't look like that when he came in the NBA until he started playing for Mike D'Antoni. Then all of a sudden that 1 year before we blew it all up to get Melo, he was on all-star level. That's the system he was in. So we had the point guard guy. And y'all maybe not know this, but when we got Melo, Donnie Walsh was in talks with Utah for Deron Williams. Now, I know y'all remember Deron Williams when he was with the Nets and he was really on the downside. But there was a time, no pun intended, where Deron Williams was top 3 in the NBA. Really, some people consider him the best point guard in the NBA when he was in his prime. And it was that time that Donnie Walsh was talking to Utah about Deron Williams. We didn't even know really until after the fact that Deron Williams was even available until the Nets got. But he was talking to them about Deron Williams. Can you imagine with the team that we had at the time, a young Gallinari and the other players that we had just got Amari, and you give a D'Antoni, a Deron Williams in his prime, you say that this is where we was headed. But we never did give D'Antoni. Now, I'm not saying D'Antoni's my favorite coach. He's not a defensive coach, and I'm a New York dude, and I like to see some defense. But he had his game. His game was offense, and his game was 7 seconds or less, and his game was point guard. He had to be run by a point guard. So they never gave D'Antoni what he needed for his system. They gave it to him for half a season with Raymond Felton. And then he didn't have it, and he threw Jeremy Lin in there. And Jeremy Lin looked like an all-star. That's how you get like Lin Sanity for like 3 or 4 weeks. But he never did get the point guard he wanted to run his system. Never gave him a fair shot, in my opinion. And that's why he was out. And Melo didn't like him. That was another thing. Melo comes in. Melo was a little bit, Melo is cool now. Melo is mature. Melo is the man. I love Melo. I love his attitude. He gave New York all he had. But there was a time when he was really a petulant, immature basketball player that was with a millionaire. You understand? And so he was like talking this against D'Antoni, and then Dolan got rid of him because Dolan went out there and forced the Melo trade to happen when Donnie Walsh wasn't going to do that. But anyway, that's history. So we never had the whole situation right where we could get a point guard that will help run this team on that next level. We haven't had that since Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland and them. We haven't had that. We've had decent point guards, but we never had that dynamic one since Mark Jackson was, when he won Rookie of the Year here with Patrick Ewing. I don't know what happened. I remember that there was some, again, upper management issues with Mark Jackson, and he was unhappy in New York, which was sad, and that's why he ended up being traded. It was a stupid thing. Him and Pat Ewing could have won a championship together, but we haven't had really a guy like that since him and Rod Strickland. They traded Strickland too to show you how incompetent Knick management had been. We ended up with Doc Rivers and out of his prime Harper, and then we had Chris Childs. Now all of them was solid, but none of them was that guy, So a lot of y'all, understandable, a lot of y'all are very impatient because we've been waiting a long time for that point guard, right? But I see a golden opportunity right here, and I think Leon sees it. And this is why I want to have the video today. So as we mentioned, we went several steps forward this year, more than anybody thought. And as you all noticed, just like me, we was a real point guard away from making an even deeper run. Okay. So you got Derrick Rose. Now, Derrick Rose is 32, gonna be 33. Okay. Now he's not like Kyle Lowry or Chris Paul, who you're going to see on the thumbnail. He's not like that. And what I mean is Kyle Lowry and Chris Paul are floor guys. Like they don't depend on elite athleticism for their success. They're floor guys. Okay. They depend on high IQ, solid, tremendous shooters, when they need to be clutch, and of course, playmaking. Derrick Rose has always, his calling card is his athleticism and his ability to finish. Now, at age 32, he showed this year he still got that, but he can't do it over a long period as a Tom Thibodeau starter. He is definitely suited for that bench role where he's coming off and playing 15 to 20 minutes. Now, at 15 to 20 minutes, you're getting vintage Rose still. So we need a point guard, right? And a lot of y'all are whining because you want to draft one. Listen, even if you drafted a point guard, like I said, only Cade Cunningham is going to play at that point guard position if we draft a point guard this year. Nobody, not Suggs, not the kids from down in Texas, but from Baylor. Nobody's gonna play as a point guard this year. I know that frustrates y'all, but I understand it. And you know why? I don't want a rookie point guard when I'm trying to go into the Eastern Conference Finals. You understand? Y'all need to wake up a little bit. That's where we at right now. So we need a veteran. We need somebody that's been in the war, somebody that's a dog to get us to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, we could get a point guard. He's going to be a guy that sits and learns from whoever that veteran is. He's going to need to be in Tom Thibodeau's system for 2 years before he starts to play. So yes, we could go get a guy. We could get a guy. Okay, we could get a young cat. But it's not imperative. You can get him now. You can trade for him. You can find him in the G League. You can get him from Europe. It's not imperative right now for us to get that. It is imperative because we're ready to move to that next level right now. It's imperative for us to get a guy that's ready. Now, the top guy of today's discussion is Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is a legit top 5 superstar in the NBA. Okay? Legit. There's no need to discuss that further. Dame Dollar is the deal. Okay? So, he's one of them guys that you bring him, you're going to get the AC with him on your team. The question is, how deep can you go? All right? So, that's what Portland's problem has been. They have not been able to surround him with enough talent to get to that next level. Now, I don't blame Terry Stotts. I blame their management. Their management has been terrible. Why would they trade for Norman Powell when they had, what's his name? They just traded to Toronto. Why would they do that? Gary Trent Jr. Why would you do that? You had Gary Trent Jr. and you got Anthony Simons. That's the heir apparent right there. And they trade for Norman Powell. And I'm not saying Norman Powell's a bad player, but he was no upgrade. The upside is with Gary Trent Jr. See, that's what I'm saying. They did not put around Dame and CJ the right stuff to get them to that next level. Then they go and get Enes Kanter. Look, we had a belly full of Enes Kanter in New York. He's one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA. Well, at the same time, he is the worst center defensively in the NBA. The worst. Okay, he is the worst center defensively. You need a defensive dude with them 2 scorers. You don't need, I'm not saying offensive rebound is not important, but if you can't stop nobody, what you doing? And Nurkic, he can't stop nobody. That's why I'm telling you, he's going to be out. Okay. They need a defense. They need some defense. Now they done got rid of Terry Stotts. I thought that was a bad move. This was not Terry Stotts' fault. He's a good coach. But now the possibility is if I'm Portland, depends. It's all in Dame's hands right now. It's all in Dame Dollar's hands. If he decides he wants to leave, they will, oblige him. He's in his prime. Okay. Now Dame Dollar is going to cost you. This ain't going to come cheap. So look, this is like, if you're the Knicks, you can't just give up everything. We did that with Carmelo. Okay? And it didn't work. You don't want to clean your cupboards to get him. And Portland is going to want you to clean your cupboards to get him. Okay? So you got to balance this out. So in my view, there's certain players that are off limits. Julius, RJ, and Mitchell Robinson are off limits. Because if I'm Portland, those are the first guys I'm asking about. But I'm telling you, they're off limits. Everything else is on the table. Everything else. IQ's on the table. Obi's on the table. All the first round picks are on the table. And so what I'm thinking is the best package that the Knicks could offer. And this is why I'm saying all this to say I don't think it's going to happen. Unless Dame forces it, which I'm not sure he's going to do. I don't know what he's going to do because I don't know what's in his head. He might just stay in Portland. But the best package the Knicks can offer without hurting themselves. That's the key thing here. There's no need to get Dame Dollar if you're going to still be in the same position next year because you done gave away everything. That's what Portland did. And that's why they struggling right now. But if Dame Dollar, the best package we could offer them is Obi, IQ, our 2 first rounders, our second rounders this year, and then our first rounder the year after, because you can't give first rounders away in consecutive years. So our first rounders in 2 years. That's the best we could do for them. So you're talking about basically 4 firsts, a second, Obi Toppin, and Emmanuel Quickly. Maybe you throw in a Nerlens Noel or something because they're going to want defensive center. But that's all we could do. That's really all we could do, because I'm not touching RJ. I'm not touching Mitchell Robinson. And I'm not touching Mitchell. I'm not touching Randall. That's our nucleus. That's who we want to plug Dame Dollar into to make us go to that next level. Okay. We could take Dame Dollar with those 3 dudes, and then you bring back all the crew from last year, the whole veteran crew except Peyton. You bring the whole veteran crew back, and you got a threat to the Eastern Conference Finals next year. You are. Okay. So that's all we could really offer for Dame Dollar. That's all I'm saying. Now, if Portland wants to take that, done deal. I don't know if they would take it or not. They might laugh at it. Okay, fine. Because you're not going to, listen, when you're talking about a top 5 players in the NBA, so you're talking about a Dame Dollar, right? You might be talking about an Anthony Davis. You might be talking about a Kawhi Leonard, right? You are not, if you're the team that has that player, you are not, there's no way you're going to get equal value for that player. You just can't. You're not going to do that. Okay? It's not going to happen. You're not going to get equal value for that player. Okay? So the best you can do is what Sam Presti did. That's why I like Sam Presti. What you're going to have to do is blow it up and start over. So if I'm Portland, I'm doing a fire sale, but Dame Dollar is my biggest jewel. I mean, everybody's available. If I'm Portland, if I got to blow it up, if Dame says he's leaving, I'm blowing it up. So in that case, I'm selling everything, and I'm getting picks, young players for everything, because I'm blowing it up. And then I'm bringing in a coach, a young development coach like a Kenny Atkinson, somebody that can help me develop the young players. Okay. Because that's where we're going to be. Because you're not going to get equal value for Dame Dollar. You can't get equal value for him unless you get a superstar of equal stature, and nobody's trading that. Like, the Lakers are not trading Anthony Davis for him. Okay. The Clippers are not trading Kawhi Leonard or Paul George for him. And even Paul George, that's not equal value. Dame is worth more. Because Dame and Kawhi, you go into the finals. See? So that's what I'm saying. So you're not going to get equal value. So because of that, Portland's got to decide what they want to take. And and I don't know if they're going to blow it up. If it was me, I'd blow it up. They done ran it. They're in a small market. It ain't like they're in New York. They're in a small market. I do like Sam Presti did. Blow it up and bring you a young coach, or a coach that could coach development players, and start over. You might as well. You tried your best. That's if Dame decides to leave. Now, if Dame stays, that's another thing. Now we got a bite at the apple. But we don't know. So that's why I'm mentioning him. So I'm telling y'all right now, the best package the Knicks can offer is 4 number 1s, couple number 2s, Obi, and IQ, and some throw-ins. But we not, RJ, Mitchell Robinson, and Randall are off limits. I'm not trading them. I'm just telling you. Because otherwise you're defeating the purpose. Okay? So that's Dame Dollar. So to me, the likelihood of that happening is probably 5%. 5% chance it happens. Unless Dame, which again, I don't know what's in his mind. If Dame decides, I want New York, whoa, that shoots the chances up. Big time. Big time. But if he doesn't, it probably won't happen. So now what? So now you're dealing with, and fortunately for us, we got a lot of possibilities this year. Cause you don't need, I'm not going to say we don't need Damian Lillard. But if we don't get him, we can still get a point guard that can push us to that next level. That's all I'm saying. I believe a Kyle Lowry, a Chris Paul, a Dennis Schroeder. Some of y'all don't like Schroeder, but I'm telling you, he's just in a situation with LeBron. Listen, he wouldn't be the first guy that couldn't play with LeBron at the point guard, because Derrick Rose couldn't either. Derrick Rose couldn't play with him either in Cleveland. Okay? He wouldn't be the first point guard that had trouble playing with LeBron, because LeBron is like a point guard. He runs the team. And so if you're a guy that wants to run the team, that might be a problem. So I'm saying Schroeder, to me, Schroeder is better when he played in Oklahoma City and Atlanta, especially when he became the guy in Atlanta. This cat can play. Okay. So don't sleep on him. And that's why he turned down the 80. I don't think it was even all about the money where he turned down the 84 million from LA. I think if LeBron is there, he don't want to play there, which makes it, to me, he probably is eyeing a place where he's going to get the ball handed to him and say, okay, run the team. That's New York. These other places too, but it's definitely New York. So Schroeder, Lowry, Chris Paul's probably not coming here. He ain't turning down 44 million, to take a chance. He's going to probably be offered 3 years, 75, something like that from Phoenix. And he's going to take that because now he's going to end up with more money. So he's probably off the market, but he's technically going to be available, but I don't think there's a chance we get him unless Leon Rose works some magic we don't know about. But so you got Chris Paul, you got Kyle Lowry, you got Schroeder, and of course we always been talking about Lonzo Ball. Now Lonzo Ball, the problem I have with Lonzo Ball, I believe, first of all, he's a tremendous floor general. His jump shot has improved. He shot like 38% from three this year. He has improved his jumper. He needs to improve his foul shooting. He's still a terrible foul shooter. And that's not good for a point guard. But he's a tremendous defender. His IQ with the basketball is up there with his brother. They both good, even though his brother, I think, is obviously the better player. But Lonzo is good. But he has not been consistent. That's the problem I have with Lonzo Ball. And I think it has attributed to his youth. He's only 23. So, maybe that consistency will come. So there's a slight risk involved with Lonzo Ball. I believe he can make us better. I believe he's got the talent to do that. Under Tom Thibodeau, I think he'll thrive. And in the Knicks, this is where our coaching staff, I think that'll help him. He is not a $20 million a year guy. He might want 20, and that's why we may not get him. Because I would rather spend that money on a Lowry, a CP3, or a Schroeder. Because those guys are consistent. They're pros. They've been in wars. They're ready to go. Okay. And we need somebody over this next 2 years that can do that. Now, that being said, this is where we go and find a young guy. Somebody that's not going to play right now, but we can groom him. The way New Orleans was doing with Kyra Lewis. We need to do that. We need to get somebody like that and groom the kid, whoever it is. It could be one of the Baylor kids. It's, like I said, if we get a Cade Cunningham, he's going to play. He's going to be like RJ. He's going to be in there playing, but we're not going to get him. The likelihood of we getting him is less than 5%. We're not going to get Cade Cunningham. So we were too good this year to get Cade Cunningham. So we're not getting him, but somebody else is going to be out there that's going to be available that we can get, somebody like an Emmanuel Quickly. You bring, but a more of a true point guard. You get somebody like that. There's a lot of guys in this draft. There's a lot of players like that, in this draft. This is a very talented draft. So, but no guy stands out, but there's guys like that. So if you're doing your scouting properly, you could pick a guy that's 19, 20 years old and you can bring him along. And in 2 years, he's playing. Okay. But over that course of 2 years, we're pushing toward the Eastern Conference Finals. All right. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. So for all y'all that's dying for a point guard, that's really how you want to look at this. You want to be very rational. Don't think some rookie's supposed to come in and get 20 minutes a game. Not this year. Not when we right here. When we ready to push to that next level. No. Okay. Now next year, Emmanuel Quickly came off the bench. And again, he had the Kentucky ties, right? With John Calipari, World Wide West, and Kenny Payne. Don't think that it ain't had nothing to do with him playing. It did. Okay. But he proved himself, very well. Okay. He did some stupid rookie things, but every rookie does. I think next year we're going to expect a step forward for Emmanuel Quickly. If he was a starter this year, he'd be regressing next year. The sophomore. Y'all know about the sophomore jinx, right? Better look that up. That happens. It's a real deal. So he may not be as good next year, but he was coming off the bench. So grooming him, he'll be all right. So we're at the cusp right now, y'all. We don't want a rookie with the keys in his hand right now. We need a dude that knows what he's doing to drive this car. Okay. So I think we're in a good position. I think Leon and crew going to make the right decision. I'm with whoever they get, whether it's Kyle or CP3 or Lonzo or Schroeder. I'm with all of them because all of them going to help us. And of course, I'm always with Dame Dollar. Y'all have a good Tuesday. Shalom.